Welcome to the Childcare Genius podcast, proud to be the world's #1 community for brilliant childcare leaders. Each episode will feature interviews with the brightest minds in the childcare industry to guide you into becoming a smarter business leader. Our hosts have opened 10 schools while raising 5 children. They are certified business coaches and are the top-selling childcare business book authors of all time. This episode is sponsored by Elif Childcare Insurance. Give Blake a call at 972-232-2258 to get a free quote on childcare business insurance today. Let's welcome to the Childcare Genius podcast our hosts, Brian and Carol Duprey.
Welcome to episode 38 of the Childcare Genius podcast. I'm your host, Brian Duprey, and I'm excited today to be doing a solo episode. Carol's actually traveling in Pennsylvania this week, visiting family, so I decided to do a solo episode. What are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about the top 10 money-saving tips that Childcare Genius recommends. And so be sure to consult your tax strategist on any of these techniques that we're going to give you today. I'm not a CPA, but I am really good at determining what makes good tax strategy because I've been working closely with my CPA for the last 25 years, and he's given me a lot of good tax strategy and advice. And I want to pass that on to you today. Some of them are tax strategies, some are just really good money-saving strategies. So the first one I'm going to talk about today is buying used equipment. Now, there's something that a lot of center owners just refuse to do, which I just absolutely do not understand. Let's just say you buy a used or a new piece of equipment that costs you $500. Let's just say it's a little, a cubby maybe, or a, crib, or, just a bookshelf, something that you think is really cool and it looks beautiful. So you put it in to your center. You paid, a couple $100 for this thing. You put it into your center. It's brand spanking new. After the first week, that now is used equipment. And once a kid pukes on it, licks it, drops something on it, spills something on it, and you clean it up, it's still used equipment that you think is good enough for your school. After a year, it's still used equipment, and you still think it's good enough for your school because your center is full of used equipment. You're the one using it. So if something were to happen and, had to close your school and you were to sell that equipment to somebody else, would it be good enough for their school since it's currently good enough for yours? The answer would be yes. You just clean it up nicely, get all that puke stain off it, and make it really nice and pretty. And all of a sudden now you could sell it to somebody else and they could use it in their school. So if that's the case, why would you refuse to buy used equipment for your school? You think it's just something wrong with that? I mean, we buy used cars. Why not? We buy used houses. Why not buy used daycare equipment? I'm not talking ratty stuff that's falling apart. I'm talking good quality stuff. There's a lot of good centers that buy used equipment, or excuse me, that buy new equipment that go out of business because guess what? They overspent. They ran out of money. So guess what? They're going to close their doors and they're going to sell their equipment for 10 cents on the dollar. Be the one that goes and buys it for 10 cents on the dollar. And that is smart savings. My centers are full of used equipment. I don't apologize for that. It's good stuff. If somebody else thought it was good to spend money on new, let them take the depreciation hit. And I'm going to save that money in the long run. And I've bought a whole tractor trailer load many times. I've bought an entire school out. Again, 10 cents on the dollar. I bought over $125,000 worth of daycare equipment one time for $10,000. Talking brand new cribs, really good stuff. Some of the stuff had never been even used before because the center went out of business early on. So number 9. So 10 is buy used equipment. Number 9, we're counting down. Requote everything every 2 years. So make sure that you don't, when you get into a contract, like a lease contract, insurance, copiers, curriculum, things that you sign contracts for that are over and over. Make sure you requote those with different vendors every 2 years or so, maybe even every year. What happens is I've talked to many owners and they'll get into a policy or insurance company and they just keep raising it every single year. And you've got to watch that. And make sure you're requoting, and they know you're going to be requoting these things. Like your car insurance, your copier, Things like that. When it requotes, make sure you're always looking for the best possible deal, and you'll save a lot of money in the long run by requoting things out on a continual basis, and not just signing up for a new year. Your cell phone contract, same thing. Always look for that better deal every couple years or every year. Number 8, beware of overstaffing and overpaying staff. These are two big money killers. You could save a lot of money being sure that you're properly staffed at all times. And you say, "Well, I want to make sure I'm overstaffed because because I might be short. People call in sick." Well, have those people on call, have them as on-call substitutes. You could actually pay people more to be on-call substitutes. I don't wouldn't mind paying, several dollars an hour more for having somebody an on-call substitute that I only call in when I absolutely need them, than pay somebody to come in and then they sit around and then then you go to let them home and then they're cutting their hours. So be mindful of overstaffing. When you have multiple centers, it's a lot easier to be properly staffed because you could shift employees between locations like we do. When you have a single center, it's a lot more difficult to stay proper staff. Just be careful about that. And also overpaying staff. It's something new owners make a mistake of. They have that guilt in there that, teachers need that huge high wage and they decide they're going to pay higher than everybody else in the area. So they attract some good teachers in, but at the end of the day, they can't even make the rent payment, which I've seen many, many times. So just be mindful of that. If they have money at the end of the year and you did really well, bonus them. Just be careful about putting it in their hourly pay because then you're stuck with it because nobody ever cuts anybody's pay. Number 7, having a full-time cook in most schools is probably not necessary. We feed several hundred children a day in our schools. We've never had a cook at all. We pay somebody to come in early, an hour early, to prepare the meals. All you have to do is stick them in the oven and turn it on and walk away. All our meals are very simple, easy to prepare. They're USDA approved. If anybody wants help with Carol's menu, you can just send an email to me or info@childcaregenius.us, and we could give you a sample of what we use for a menu. It's very simple and it's very healthy, but it's very easy to prepare. Prepares in under 30 minutes, and you don't even need a full commercial kitchen to prepare it. You could have what we call a warming pantry and basically warm the meals up. You could do it in microwaves. You could do it in what we call new wave ovens, which are not needing for venting. You don't have to have a full kitchen, and you can feed easily 100 kids. When you get 200, 300 kids in the center, it's going to be a little bit more complicated in the large schools. But I still don't think you need a full-time cook. Maybe somebody who's 2 or 3 hours a day. It just doesn't take that long to prepare meals if you do it right. Now, if you're making everything from scratch, it maybe is a 4 or 5 hour a day job. But I've never seen a center that required a full-time cook, but I've seen many centers have a full-time cook. I don't know what they're doing for 3 or 4 hours a day, unless they're also using the classroom. That's great. But I just wanted to at least put that out that I know a guy with 11 locations, and he has 11 locations, but he does not have a single cook in any of them. He does not have a kitchen in each one of them. He has what we call warming pantries, which we highly recommend doing. So there's some money savings if things get tight, you need to cut some corners. That might be where you need to go. Number 6, free childcare as a benefit. It's an expensive benefit, not really fair to the people without children to give free daycare to all your employees. Be mindful of that. It's a very costly benefit that'll cost you a lot of money. Discounts are fine. Maybe free care for somebody who's a director or somebody's been with you 5 or 10 years, but I would make it more of a length of service requirement to get a certain amount of benefit. Don't just give free daycare right off the bat to everybody because it'll be extremely costly to you. It'll hit the bottom line very hard. And it has put people out of business before by having that too many teachers with kids in the center. Another thing is if you have all your teachers with kids in the center, sickness goes around. Once the kids are sick, the teachers are out as well. And that could create some serious problems for you on the staffing side. So just be mindful of that as a cost saving measure. Just be careful with that. Number 5, be sure to document all your expenses. When you buy something for the child care center, be sure to use a center only credit card or be able to use the center debit card, make sure that gets logged as a business expense so you don't have to pay tax on that money. Paying too much tax is a huge disadvantage to a daycare business. You want to pay your fair share, but not a penny more. The more you save on taxes, the more money you have to pay your employees, to pay rent, to pay expenses, and to make a profit. So be sure you document each and every expense. You go out to lunch with one of your employees, that's a business expense. It's a deductible meal. You'll get a 50% deductibility of that meal if you pay for it. So just be sure to be able to log it. We recommend having a daycare credit card that's separate, that's only used to that. It doesn't have to be in the company name. It could be in your personal name, but make sure it's dedicated to business expenses. And of course, we recommend rewards credit cards like American Airlines or United Airlines card to get miles as well, so you could travel. So those are good money making ideas as well. Number 4, use the Augusta rule to make tax-free money. What's the Augusta rule? Our CPA, Darren Hall, who's on our faculty, he brought this to us a couple years ago, and a lot of CPAs didn't even know what this thing existed. What the Augusta rule says that you could rent out your house for business expenses 14 days a year tax-free. How does that work? Let's just say you want to have a company party at your house. Your company could rent your house for the day to have the company party. The company's going to pay you. It's a deductible expense to the company. Going to pay you maybe $1,000 to rent your house for a day to have a party. And guess what? That $1,000 is tax-free income to you up to 14 days a year. If you have multiple companies, you could do this with multiple companies. And also, this works for your primary residence, a secondary residence, and also vacation homes. So if you have a second home, maybe a lake home, you want to bring your employees up for a day or a weekend and have a big sleepover party or whatever, you could rent it for a couple of days, have staff trainings at your house and rent it for that time. It's got to be a reasonable expense, what you'd pay similarly to rent a house. But that's tax-free money to you. Love the Augusta rule. Be sure to use that. Talk to your accountant. They might have to look it up. A lot of CPAs don't even know what this is, but if you Google IRS Augusta rule, you'll know what it is. Number 3, use real estate investments to increase passive income to lower taxable income. How does this work? So Carol and I have an extensive real estate portfolio of residential and commercial real estate that we buy, that we manage. We have our own property management company, and we have our own holding company that holds all the properties. And when we do that, we're able to accelerate our depreciation through cost segregation studies and actually be able to take a lot of our income not tax free, but tax deferred, and get accelerated depreciation on a lot of our daycare income offset, meaning that we save about $100,000 a year in daycare taxes by buying the properties and using the accelerated depreciation. So talk to your CPA about how to use real estate as a tax investment strategy. And plus, you're going to be getting passive income from these properties that you could use depreciation. So the first $10,000, $15,000 of the rental income that you get will be tax-free because you could use depreciation each and every year. So once you have millions of dollars of real estate tax portfolio, you could just live on the passive income. Eventually, when you want to exit out of your childcare business, you can just sell the business and keep the real estate as a passive income source. It's something we teach in our Childcare Genius University coaching program, how to use real estate as a tax vehicle and tax strategy, long-term wealth, and also another diversified income source. So if you want information on Childcare Genius University, just email me at brian@childcaregenius.com. It's specialized training that we only do inside of our coaching program for people that really want to get ahead and create massive wealth and passive income sources. And the cool thing about my real estate business, we have no employees. That's the cool thing about it. We make more money in our real estate business than we do in our childcare business. And we don't have any employees in that. We manage it ourselves, and it's real simple to do. And we'll talk about how to do that inside our coaching program. Number 2, mileage expense. Make sure that when you're traveling between locations, you document your mileage, or if you have a vehicle that's a company vehicle paid for by the company, make sure that you when you get your oil changed, get your tires rotated, buy new tires, that you use that as a company expense. So just make sure you're using your mileage expense wisely. There is options where if you buy a vehicle and it weighs over 6,000 pounds, you get some accelerated depreciation on that vehicle. So be able to look at that with your CPA. Just be mindful of the mileage deduction and traveling, because it costs money to go between location to location if you have multiple locations. And if you're going to a conference, make sure you'd be able to deduct the mileage driving to and from the location as well. So be mindful of that income expense. And if you have multiple companies like I do, make sure you keep track of those multiple companies and make sure to deduct your mileage, because it's substantial. It goes up every year. It's something like 60 cents, 62, something like that now. Um, be mindful of that because it's huge. It'll be huge savings to put gas in your tank and money in your pocket. And the last money saving tip that I'm going to give to you today is take tax deductible vacations. And how do you do that, Brian? Well, let's talk a little bit about going to a childcare conference. If you're listening to this, you must be in the childcare business. How about going to a childcare conference where you can combine a little bit of fun with pleasure and get full tax deductibility? There's a big difference between going to a conference inside the US and going to a conference outside of the US when it comes to deductibility. Be sure to get with your accountant on that. But when you're traveling to a conference inside the US, and you want to add an extra couple days, you do not get to deduct those days. You can't deduct the meals. You can't deduct the hotel room of those extra days when you are inside the US. So going to a conference, say in Florida, and you want to stay for a couple days so the kids can play at a park. Well, those days you don't get to deduct the expenses for that. And you're going to lose a lot of tax deductibility, as opposed to, say, going to a child care conference in Jamaica. We have our conference in Jamaica, September 18th through 22. It's a 5-day conference that you'll be able to come in and get a 7-day vacation and be able to get full tax deductibility because you have travel days on both sides. And you're able to do that. We only do 4 hours a day, which allows you to get a lot of downtime, and you can deduct the full trip. And our resort that we picked, Iberia Star Rose Hall Resort in Montego Bay, Jamaica, is all inclusive. So the one price you pay covers meals, drinks, alcohol, all snacks, and all tips, which is a pretty good deal. And rooms run under $350 a night, all inclusive for 2 people, which is less than you pay for most resorts for just the room at a really nice hotel. And this is a 5-star resort right on the beach in beautiful Jamaica, and a lot of pools, a lot of bars, a lot of good 13 different restaurants at this resort. It's really, really amazing. And Carol and I will be there, and our entire staff will be there. We're bringing everybody in. Only speakers from the conference stage are going to be childcare speakers. And you're going to get a lot of education, a lot of learning. Tickets are on sale right now for $3.99, but they're going up in a couple days. They're going up to $4.99 on May 1. So you want to go to childcaregenius.com/leverage and pick up your tickets today. Why not take a tax deductible vacation? Whether or not your spouse is in the childcare business, bring them along, lay on the beach with them. Maybe they want to attend an event. Maybe they want to learn what you know in the childcare business. We'll help them to have a different appreciation for you and what you do by attending just a couple hours a day with us. What are we going to learn about? We're going to have some really advanced topics, some things you're going to learn nowhere else. We have a lot of really good speakers. And I'm going to be doing, I think, 7 different sessions, probably 7 hours worth of training on everything from mindset to marketing to real estate, how to use real estate. We're going to throw you some real estate tips on how to get 32% return on your investment in real estate, much more than stock market, much more than any of these syndicated deals that there's going on out there right now. The people investing in multifamily apartments through syndication, you're going to be able to get twice the return, maybe 3 times the return doing it yourself. And we'll show you how to do it. And we're going to give you some tips and secrets on day 5 at the conference. So we hope you'll see us in Jamaica. Carol and I's goal is to have a meal or a coffee or a drink with every single attendee. We're limiting the conference to 100 businesses. So you could be one of 100. You're going to be the 1%. You are the 1% when it comes to Childcare Genius. We only allow 100 businesses in our coaching program. We only allow 100 businesses at our conference. We want to be able to give everybody unique, individualized attention, and that means taking care of you. And so, again, childcaregenius.com/leverage. There are no sales pitches at our conference and with no vendor hall. It's 100% all childcare without us having to try to sell you anything while we're there. So I hope you'll attend. If you have any questions, email me, Brian@childcaregenius.com. And we're almost done here. So if you need help in your childcare business and you would like to do a free coaching call with me, if you're a center owner or you want to open a center, visit childcaregenius.com and under the coaching tab, select Brian, a free coaching call. And I will be glad to hop on a 30, 45-minute call with you, give you some strategies, no obligation, no cost. It's my way to give back and help the center owners in this industry that I love so much. And you're guaranteed to come away with some really, really cool ideas in areas that you might be struggling. So this is going to conclude episode 38 of the Childcare Genius podcast. Thank you for spending time with us today, or me rather. So weird not having Kara with me here, but I'm sure she's enjoying time with her dad. So just a reminder to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss a future episode. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Childcare Genius podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. Don't forget to visit our website at childcaregenius.com to see a list of services we offer to help grow your childcare business. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Childcare Genius community.